Welcome to episode 6 of Through the Glass. In our last episode, I made a call for the Flyers to suit up and put on their A game to get our revenge against the Capitals, or at least get even with them, following not only the last loss of the regular season last year, but also our elimination from making the playoffs. The first game of the back-to-back against the Capitals was a must-win for me. They didn't have to win both games, and I didn't expect them to win both games, especially since they were back-to-back nights, one in Philly and one in Washington. But I really wanted to win that first one to put in all ends to the game from last year and start over with a new season and a win against the Capitals. Of course, we went on to lose that first game in Philadelphia 4-1. And then that second game in Washington, followed by another loss of 6-3. The Flyers did eventually get their first win at home this season against the Minnesota Wild, which saw a multiple-point game from the top line of Sean Couturier, Travis Konecny, and Matvei Michkov, in which captain Sean Couturier would have a hat trick, including the last goal as an empty netter to win the game. That game, as exciting as it was, would not be enough to start the first win streak of the season yet. The Flyers had a back-to-back series at home, following with a game against the Montreal Canadiens the next day, in which they would lose 4-3. But then, bring on Halloween week. Not only is it my favorite time of the year, but it just happened to coincide with the Flyers' mom's trip of the season. The Flyers' moms would join them for 4 days across 2 games, which included a game in Boston against the Bruins, followed by a home game against the St. Louis Blues on Halloween night. The mom's trip might be just what the Flyers needed to get their season going. In the Flyers' first game of the mom's trip in Boston against the Bruins, not only did the Philadelphia Flyers get their first win in Boston since 2011, but Samuel Ersson also got a shutout for that game, making 25 saves. The first and real only goal of the game would come in the second period from Tyson Forrester, and Joel Farabee would eventually get one in the third period as an empty netter to seal the deal. Their next game back at home against the St. Louis Blues on Halloween night would see yet another win. Garnet Hathaway would kick things off in the first period, scoring the first goal in the game, and they would survive their second period woes until in the third period, Nathan Walker gets a goal in for the St. Louis Blues. With just about 4 minutes left in the period, Bobby Brink would get another goal for the Flyers, with assists from both Joel Farabee and Scott Laughton. Bobby Brink had a hell of a game against the St. Louis Blues, and that goal would be enough to not only get them a win on Halloween night against the Blues, but also enough to get them their first winning streak of the 24-25 season, and also an exciting end for the mom's trip. The Flyers then make their way back to Philadelphia for the last of the 2 games for the first half of the season against the Bruins. They are riding high off the momentum from their first winning streak of the year, and also having had those 2 wins during the mom's trip. Can they keep the momentum going? We'll see. The Flyers start out strong with Sam Ersson in net, who made 8 saves on the 8 goals that he faced, and he was looking sharp to get things started, withstanding a lot of pressure early on from the Boston Bruins. But then just moments later, there was a strange play in which resulted in Sam Ersson losing one of his skate blades, and then moments later checking in with team medical staff, and then eventually exiting the game, resulting in Alexei Kolosov having to come in and net on short notice. While Alexei Kolosov looked sharp and made a lot of great saves, the Bruins also brought on their A game and brought on the offensive pressure, which would prove to be too much for the Flyers defense. Matt Patra would score the first goal for the Bruins in the first period, with Justin Brasso getting them their 2-0 lead in the second period. The Bruins would hold on to their 2-0 lead for the remainder of the game, as the Flyers would continue to struggle to get their offensive game going. Late in the third period, the Flyers could still not find a surge to get things going, and would eventually pull Alexei Kolosov from the net. The extra man advantage would unfortunately not get them a goal, but it would instead result in possibly the worst case scenario for a Flyers fan, an empty netter goal from Bruins captain Brad Marchand, thus putting an end to the Flyers' short winning streak of the season. Things are looking a bit grim for the Flyers heading into their 3-game road trip in the South, with games against the red-hot Carolina Hurricanes, Tampa Bay Lightning, and defending Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers. They would get this road trip started without their starting goalie Sam Ersson, and rely on the likes of rookie Alexei Kolosov as the potential starting goalie, and Ivan Fedotov, who has been struggling thus far this season, as their backup goalie. The Flyers would get the scoring started with a goal from Travis Konecny and assists from both Owen Tippett and Matvei Michkov, which was super important for Matvei Michkov because that was his first point in the last couple of games. The Carolina Hurricanes would then tie up the game with a goal from Jackson Blake late in the first period, and head into the second period with a 1-1 tied game. Then the Flyers surrendered 2 back-to-back goals to the Carolina Hurricanes within a span of 40 seconds, the first being from Eric Robinson, quickly followed by another goal from Jordan Martinook. Then just past the halfway mark of the game, Owen Tippett would respond to the call from John Tortorella to get his offensive game going and net a sniper of a goal to get things tied once again for the Philadelphia Flyers, with assists from both Travis Konecny and Sean Couturier. Just a few moments into the third period, another player would respond to the call from John Tortorella to get things going, and that being Morgan Frost finally scoring his first goal of the season. It was not a pretty one if you saw the game, but it went in. It started off with Travis Sanheim setting up the shot and making a great pass to Travis Konecny, who would then attempt to deflect it to Morgan Frost for the tip-in. Morgan Frost's original attempt did not quite go in. It took a weird pause, and if you're a Flyers fan watching this, you're like, oh my god, how is this not going in? It was probably just like 0.2 seconds, but it felt like the longest 10 seconds ever. And then eventually he just gets his shin in and gets like the weirdest rebound, and then it goes in. Definitely not the most exciting way to get a goal in, especially following the sniper from Owen Tippett, but it went in. Morgan Frost finally got his first goal of the season. The Flyers tie up the game, but not for long. Just 30 seconds later, Jack Roslovic gets the lead back for the Carolina Hurricanes, quickly ending the momentum from the first Morgan Frost goal of the season. About halfway into the third period, Travis Konecny would score his second goal of the game and tying up the game at 4-4 for the Flyers. Up until this point, it has been an exciting game for the Flyers with back-to-back goals and getting back into the game every time they've come from behind. Staying in the game, keeping up with the speed of the Hurricanes, and answering with goals every time they've given one up. Owen Tippett and Morgan Frost, who both desperately needed to get their offensive game going, both were called up by John Tortorella, would both answer with goals in this game. Heading into the final minute of the third period and nearing the end of regulation, things were actually looking exciting for Flyers camp. Rookie goaltender Alexei Kolosov has kept them in the game, and they have generated their offense, getting goals from players who desperately needed to score. But then as the final minute trickled down, the Carolina Hurricanes would hold on to tight, long possession of the puck, and the Flyers defense would be unable to get a stick in or clear their zone. In the last 30 seconds of the game, every Flyers fan is watching with anxiety. We are so close. We just have to hold on 30 more seconds and we can get at least a point out of this game against one of the top teams in the NHL. We just have to clear the puck and force an overtime. But of course, as seems to be the story with the Flyers a lot, especially in the last minutes of the game, the Flyers cannot clear. The players are exhausted. Travis Sanheim has been out on the ice for like probably 2 minutes at this point, as have the Hurricanes. The Hurricanes are also exhausted. All the players on the ice have been out there for a while. The difference being one team could control possession of the puck while the other one could not clear. Martin Necas would get the game-winning goal for the Carolina Hurricanes, getting them a 5-4 lead. With there still being 29 seconds left in the game after his goal, the Flyers take the quick face-off and send Alexei Kolosov to the bench, getting the extra man advantage. Unable to set up a good pass for scoring position, they surrender the puck, and Seth Jarvis gets an empty netter for the Carolina Hurricanes, sealing the 6-4 win for the Canes. While this game ended in typical disappointing Flyer fashion, there were a number of positives to take from this game, and them being Owen Tippett and Morgan Frost finally getting goals, both answering to John Tortorella's call to step up offensively. If you're a Flyers fan, you should be at least a little bit excited, especially about Owen Tippett's goal, because Owen Tippett's goal was a beauty. It was the great sniper we're used to seeing from him when he's hot, and hopefully that can get a point streak going for him. Again, Morgan Frost's goal was nowhere near as flashy as Owen Tippett's, but the fact that it went in and he got his first goal of the season, hopefully that will set up a much needed offensive streak for him as well. On the goaltending end, as much as it hurts to lose Sam Ersson for a couple of games, or what we can only hope will be a couple of games, this was a great opportunity to get Alexei Kolosov some ice time and give him the opportunity to potentially be the starting goalie during Sam Ersson's absence. I really like what I've seen from Alexei Kolosov so far. He's faced a tremendous amount of goals so far, partly due to our defense who has been struggling to clear the puck, but it has also given him an opportunity to get moving and show his athleticism. One thing that I really like from Kolosov is that he's smaller and he can really move through the net. He can react quicker to pucks and also incoming rebounds. There's the obvious adjustments that he needs to make transitioning from the KHL, where they have the bigger sheet of ice. With the NHL ice being shorter, there are more chances for the players to get the quick deflections off the board, and being able to react quickly to those is probably going to be one of the biggest adjustments that Kolosov needs to make. All that being said, Sam Ersson has been reported to be traveling with the Flyers during this road trip, so we could potentially see him come back during one of these games. My guess being that it probably wouldn't be until the last game of this road trip against the Florida Panthers. Alright, Flyers fans, that's going to do it for this week, but hopefully there's been at least a couple of positives from this last stretch of games that we've seen from the Flyers, with Owen, Tippett, and Morgan Frost both getting their offensive game hopefully going, Alexei Kolosov making a couple of impressive starts despite them resulting in losses, and we did get one short winning streak going, so hopefully we can get that going again. Thanks so much for watching, and remember, if you're liking this content, be sure to follow, like, and subscribe. I am also on Spotify as well as Instagram at Through the Glass PC. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!